Hi, I'm Carter Mason with JTS.TV, and I am here with Brandon Polanco and Darrell Anthony of Pride, the series. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Okay.
Well, I'm Brandon Polanco. I am the director, one of the writers, executive producers, and I play the character Lewis in Pride the series.
And I am Darrell Anthony. I am the creator, one of the writers, one of the executive producers, and I also play Kai in the series.
Nice. How did the series come about?
Wow. Okay. Well, it's been so long ago that it just escaped my mind. But 2012, I started having this idea for a show I wanted to do. Actually, back then, I think I wanted to actually do a movie. I wanted to do something that reached out to all walks of life with events that happened in my personal life. So I met up with Brandon because we knew each other from Texas. After I spoke with my three roommates at the time, Braden, Adam, and Ashley. They also appear in the series. We'll talk more about them later. And they said, you know what, why don't you just go for it and do this series called Pride and just tell. It was actually around the time that New York was actually granted the same-sex license. So when that happened, I was like, this is a perfect opportunity, and I met with Brandon and Jennifer. Jennifer, I knew her from a previous show that we did here in the city, and then that's where the idea of Pride manifested, and I got with those two, and we just started brainstorming and working and creating a world of Pride.
Yeah. Darrell and I, we go way back to Texas. We went to two different universities, but through mutual friends, we kind of crossed paths. I think what helped kind of steamroll this forward is I know that him and his roommates were talking about this idea for the show, kind of Pride, the series, and these ideas of four people living together or that roommates interconnected. But I actually made a short film, my first short film called Snapshot, which is now, which we shot at Darrell's apartment, which is also the set of Kai's apartment that you watch in Pride the series. And so that was my first film, and I did that back in the summer of 2011. And I think, yeah, that was before we actually shot the pilot. And they came to the screening of that short film when I did the big screening. And during that time, afterwards, Darrell approached me about, I would say, the next year, because the screening was like in November, and then Darrell approached me in January about, hey, let's talk about making something, because we have all these abilities to actually make something. We have a location. We have this. He has this idea. And so then in February of 2012 is when we met at, was it Gregory's Coffee?
Yes, it was
Gregory's Coffee, yeah. And we sat down, and he invited Jennifer. I had never met Jennifer at the time, and we basically just started, we took this very infant idea of Pride, and then each one of us started kind of speaking about what we thought could help grow with it, and then slowly but surely we made a pilot, which we shot in June of 2012 on the week of Pride in New York City. And so in the show, it actually takes place on Pride. That was like one of our ideas to kind of play with like the docudrama aspect of the show, was that it was going to take place on Pride, which it does in 2012. And so we shot the pilot, and then when we did the pilot, I went off to go do other projects because I work independently as a freelancer in film. And during that time, after we did that, that's when everything started going towards us making the full season, and we shot the full season in March of 2013. So it's been with us for about a good 2 years, some change growing.
Nice.
It will be 2 years next week, actually.
2 years next week.
2 years next week. It's our anniversary, and we didn't even know it.
Yeah, sweet. Sweet. So why don't you give us some juicy behind the scenes, what was your favorite moment while shooting Pride, or your favorite moment in the development of the series?
Wow. I had two very,
yeah, I'm just going to go grab one of our actresses joining us right now.
So. Great.
I had two very nostalgic moments. When we were doing Pride. One, I would say, was when I got to act with a daytime legend. She was an idol to me. I grew up watching her on TV, Eileen Kristen. To be able to do a scene with her was just, it was crazy. It was one of the most surreal things I've ever done. And also, I would say, um, let's see, the scene I shot with Braden and Adam, they're two of my best friends. We went to Texas together, went to school in Texas together. We moved from Texas together to New York together. We lived together in Texas. We moved to New York together. We've been living together for 7, 8 years. To do a final scene with them in the show as our characters was very, like, it brought everything full circle for me. Those were two outstanding points that I can think of. It was really just, it was nice. It was good.
Nice.
It was good.
Well, are you? Is there plans for furthering what you've already done with Pride?
Of course, I think Pride has a lot of life to live. I think Pride has a lot more story to tell. I think that Pride has a lot more of a longer arm it needs to reach out. So I think we do. I definitely believe it on my heart. I mean, that's where we've gotten where we are so far. Just we say what we want to do with Pride, and it always happens, and it manifests, and it always goes in that direction. And it may take a moment or so, but it always ends up going in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know that, like, when we were writing the season, and when I was conceiving the main story, in the writing process, we had a lot of different ways of how we were creating it. But the story that we ultimately developed, for my sake, I was planned on at least 3 seasons or more. Obviously, we would love it to keep going on, but we definitely know that, like, there is definitely continuation of the story. The story has just begun, and in the beginning of Pride, it's very much like a tight knot that is going to continue unraveling as we develop it, and it's going to become bigger and bolder. So we do want to take the next seasons and the next portions of Pride to a much bigger world, and we definitely want to take it to I think deeper stories and really get in depth with who our characters are and their relationships, all the while giving you guys some really cool action adventure subplots playing around.
Nice. Well, Brandon, what was your favorite moment? Darrell and I talked a little bit about his favorite moment during shooting. What was your favorite moment during the development and shooting of Pride?
Oh, gosh. There was a lot. I think, to be able to be a director and get to direct and create 7 episodes, and within that build a world that I'd never done. Everything that I've created before that was short film content. I never took in something of a long form nature, and to be able to have that was an opportunity that in reflection was kind of the best thing. After it was done, sitting there and just being like, wow, we've just gotten up to the top of the mountain, and now we have an entire valley to go down to for post-production. And it was a long battle, but in the production point, I think in the middle part, the one thing that I loved as an actor, the one scene that I think that really that shined for me as a director that got to be able to get to play, but also at the same time really get to manifest something different was when we worked on episode 5, which is one where our characters go on a trip, and they're gonna go
literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively, they're going on a trip. And while they're on that trip, Lewis is kind of like the leader of the pack in that episode. And I got it took a lot of acting, and it was definitely like one of those things where it was going to be like I have to do a lot of acting as well as directing this scene. And that was, like, I would say, one of the best moments when I really got to gel well with both being an actor and being a director, and getting to have that moment of just being able to be like, all right, here we go, let's do this, let's go. So in that sense, for me, as a personal way, that was one of the moments where I felt like both of them really congealed in a nice way, where it just kind of flowed. It flowed really easily.
Right on.
As a director, though, internally, like watching my actors, I think the one scene that really stuck out, and that I really get to that I love watching, and that I think that really kind of played to like the heartstrings, and I really got to get deep, was the scene in episode 3 with this guy right here, and with Chad, when they're at a party, and our characters haven't been in the same room in the present time, and this is the first time that we're actually having them together, and things are not going to go the best way that you wanted them to go. And there was a lot of layers, and then both actors just really kind of gave way to my direction and as well as just playing, and they were very honest and natural. And I think that moment is always one that like really sticks with me as a point where I actually shot that scene because our DP had gotten food poisoning that night, and he wasn't able to be there. So it was a moment where it was like, it was really tough. It was a really tough one because like I literally was operating the camera at the same time as we were like acting, and they were just going at it. But it was one of the coolest moments technically as a director to get to really be able to take the camera as a place of another character. And literally, that's why I feel like when you watch that scene, you feel like the camera's really in there, because it's one of the characters that's not saying anything or doing anything, but it's truly playing off of their emotions and really giving you that sense of claustrophobia, which is ultimately going to lead to their, and I'm not giving anything away, but to the conflict between their relationship.
Yeah, I'm watching because Brandon loves to give spoilers. So I'm sitting here patiently watching, waiting to nudge or do like this. Well, that's sweet of you. I had no idea you felt that way. That was a really fun scene for me as well. You know, that scene was very personal to me on many different levels, and that was just a day that I think will live in infamy. I mean, we were, like Brandon said, our DP had gotten sick. Everything you can think of in an independent production that could go wrong that day went wrong. So that was really challenging because, you know, that was and when things go wrong on set with independent films, a lot of times if the producers or actors as well, they, even though they're acting, they still have to produce. And so that was a challenge for me because I was still trying to produce and to make sure Brandon was good and to make sure my co-star was good. And I was like, wait, I need to make sure I'm good. I have to get it together. So it was a really good scene. It really was. I think that I can say this about Clay. He was really one of my favorite acting partners. I mean, like I said, I love the other people dearly, and we definitely did some good work. But as far as like character conflict, like I would say that was really good as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, in terms of like their relationship, one of the things that I love about Chad and Kai's relationship is that they truly don't want to dominate either person. It's like a lot of the relationships in Pride really attest to the idea of domination and power control. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Kai and Chad, it was never really about that. It was just about two people that I think honestly like each other and that actually genuinely care for each other, but just can't get it right, and they keep making mistakes. And because of that, they're almost what will hopefully manifest as we keep going forward, like pawns in a big chess battle that's being played across throughout the entire series. But I think also to like kind of zero back into what we were talking about, like our favorite moment, I think the reason why, even though it was like, it felt like everything went wrong that day, there's been a sense of magic around this entire production of Pride, yes, which has been like, with the ability of the budget that we had, with the amount of time that we were given to create the show and what we could manifest, it's almost felt like it was like a blessed show in a way, because even through the hardships and through like our own like tribulations that we went through, it always prevailed, and it was pretty cool to like see that, like get to see the show like actually just not like falter, even in the tough times, it still came together. It did.
Nice. Well, is there ever that moment when you wondered if it would all come together, and like, is this going to happen, and you know, are we going to get this thing done?
I think it was always that moment, not necessarily because for me and for Brandon as well, I can say this about him as well. Now that I've worked with him, like we're both two very people who, if we say we're going to do something and go through with it, it's going to happen. It may not exactly happen in the time frame necessarily, but I've always believed in the 11th hour. I'm sorry. You know, at the very last minute, something could happen, something could change. I mean, we had so many blessings that came to and from this show, so many new people we met, so many people who saw the pilot and wanted to support it, whether that be financially or, you know, artistically, whatever. You know, I think that overall the show learned just as much as we did, and you know, it's growing, and we saw it come from a baby to a child, and I feel like right now it's an angry teenager. I feel right now Pride's an angry teenager, and it's going through a thing. And next season, I think we will see it developing a little more.
Yeah, it's definitely going to mature as it goes on. You know, I don't want to like. It's not. This is not in any way to sound like we just can do whatever we want, but
But we can't.
we definitely, when we put our minds to something, if anything in life, we really want to go follow through. And working professionally on both in front and behind the camera, you see a lot of projects that sometimes just never go anywhere, and they just sit on a hard drive, and you just wonder like why didn't that happen? It took us more time than we would have hoped to have created the show, but never once did we ever think it was going to stop. Never once did we ever think this wasn't going to happen. We knew exactly from the get-go that this was going to be like this was our baby, and we were going to make sure. And I think that's the thing. Like even now that it's out there and it's living on JTS, which we're super happy about.
So
it's
happy.
not even. It's still like in our hearts. I'm like, oh no, we still got to raise this kid. It's still got a lot to say and a lot to do. So I definitely think the analogy of like it being an angry teenager is definitely right. Pride is definitely a punk kid with an awesome attitude. I love the show, but it's definitely rambunctious and fun.
It definitely has some attitude. I think that, and like for instance, like our relationship with JTS, I think that it's a blessing in disguise. Like everything fell into place how we wanted. So many other people. We thought it was going to go a different way, and we are just blessed to be on this platform that's offering independent artists like a home and a place to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with Pride, it gets that exposure, and it gets that breath that it needs and that it wants. Because not many people who create independent. We've had so many people come up to us that they've seen Pride and whatnot. And we had a New York screening on April 15th, I believe it was. And we had so many people like, oh, I'm going to make my own web series. All I said to them was good luck. Good luck. I don't think they have any idea what they're getting into when they say, oh, we're going to go make this. Oh, we can do that. We can do, I think in order to make a good project, it has a lot to do with the heart behind it. And I believe wholeheartedly that this project had a lot of heart. I mean, there was some crying. There was some.
There was a lot of the thing is, and the reason why we're able to say that it was growing is for ourselves. We've all been Darrell's created feature films. I have created a bunch of work as well, and regardless of that all, Pride was an ability for us as producing partners and as directors and creators, a chance for us to mature and grow.
It was.
It was, and I think that was the tough thing. The fun thing about our show is that it's truly a 20-something-year-old show. There is nobody that worked on this production other than a few of the actors that were above the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
We're all mid to 20-somethings. We were able to fundraise and create our show, and in that, well, you can think like, oh, I've got it, I can figure it out. But it takes a lot of time, and it does take a lot of maturity and growth in yourself as an artist, especially when you're making series and films. You have to literally build upon your resources. And so it was a great opportunity for us to be able to mature, because I think in our newer projects that we've been working on, it's definitely helped shape us.
It has. It definitely has. And also, I think that season 2 is going to be a lot easier. I think that once we go into season 2, we go into it with this mind knowing like we know exactly what we're going to do, we know exactly how we're going to do it, we know what order we're going to do it, and we know what we need to do if we wanted to premiere or come out at a certain time. We know what we need to do in order to do that. I will never, ever forget everything we went through in this first season to get to where we are now, and I think it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. Adam, we do have a guest who just came in.
Right on.
So he's going to come in. Let's get him. Do you want to get here? Can you get here? He's going to come in and play.
Ooh. Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for everybody for having me. Sorry I'm late.
What's your name again?
I'm Adam. I play Shanika and /Adam.
Right on. Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
Fantastic. We've been chatting a little bit about Pride, of course, and how it came to come about, and favorite moments on set, things like that. What's your favorite moment in anything with Pride?
My favorite moment? Oh, I don't know. I guess traveling upstate or to Massachusetts for one of our shoots. That was one of my favorite moments because it was like we got the whole cast together, we got to do a whole like team building thing, and it was like I don't know, it was just a lot of fun getting out of the city, getting to do a lot of like on location things. Because a lot of things here in the city, they're always in the city, and it gets a little monotonous, I feel like. So it was great, and it was really nice to get out to the snow, out to the country, and out to just, out of the city, honestly.
Nice. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your character in Pride?
My character, basically, in a nutshell, is just a drug dealing drag queen. That's what I keep telling everybody. Everybody's just like, oh, okay, and it's just like, get into it, Yeah, I feel like he's misunderstood, and he has to do what he has to do, make that money, money, money. I mean, that's about it. I don't.
Can I chime in about his character?
Yeah,
real quick?
no, like
Yeah,
I just want to say, I'll poke my head in like this. There you go. Hey, we're like a happy family.
That's a good.
I'm so squished, but it's okay. We're our family.
Getting to play Lewis with Adam was one of the funnest times I've ever had as an actor, because Adam, the person that plays him, gives a lot. And what I love about Adam's character is his subtlety. Adam, you could literally tell Adam, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I would tell Adam, I was like, all right, I think Shanita is like a drag queen Pam Grier meets, Nancy Botwin. And he was like, what? And he sat there and he thought about it. And what I love, though, is he took the ideas and the inspirations and then started playing with them and made them his own. And I think there's a tenderness. And I think that's the one thing about his relationship that I find really interesting about our show is these two are very much the heart and soul of the show. Kai and Adam, they both have different pathways that are moving forward, and each of them are interconnected in a way, but they're both definitely having different, and you'll find this out as the show goes on, but they definitely have certain obstacles and choices that they're going to have to make as they keep moving forward. And one thing that I love about Adam is he could be a vile character, he could be something that maybe most people don't agree with, but you find a tender heart underneath the makeup, underneath the sass, and you find somebody that is just actually, I think, like most people, just kind of scared. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I find that is a lot of layers that I get from what Adam does and what he plays with Shanita.
It's true. It's a scared little boy who just wants to be accepted. Yeah, I'm just a sad little Latin boy in a dress. Like, I mean, I just want acceptance and just like everybody else. And I
think that's what a lot of our characters are yearning for in some aspect. I wouldn't necessarily say it's always sexuality or sexual identity. I would say in general, all of our characters want to be understood and wants to be accepted and wants to be loved in one way or another by their family. Sometimes it can be our older characters, and that's something that Brandon brought up earlier about us having a lot of older characters. I found that in other situations you would have younger characters who would have those issues where they want to be loved, but as you continue watching the show, you'll find some of our characters who are in their 40s and 50s, and older, who want to just be loved the exact same way, or want to be understood, or completely misunderstood. So it's I would say all of our characters are on that same level. You find them in one area when the show begins, and by the time the finale rolls around, you will see our characters completely flip.
I think like one thing overall with our characters is that the show is a little bit arty at times, and it's to play with homosexual stereotypes and to play with the images of today that we've created about what is quote-unquote pride. And what we love about, I think, what we're trying to do with these characters is use them as metaphors of what I think a lot of people are going through today, especially people that are in their 20s, which is there's a lot of falter, I think, about what it is to be today, what it is to be a person now. Is it to be, and especially in masculinity, I think right now we have an interesting moment where it's like, am I supposed to be the breadwinner? Am I supposed to be this person, or am I supposed to be sensitive and more of a new type of chivalrous persona? And there isn't one like, you know, in the past where we've had one overtly over the top, like this is what it is to be, like, you know, James Cagney, or like, you know, people like in the film noir, and this was all men were supposed to be like this zoot suit kind of guy. But now we're getting to play with the image of people that are, they don't know what they're supposed to do half the time. They don't know, and they only react. And because of that, through their reactions, they get into a lot of trouble, which helps thus influence the plot of the story. But we get to really play with, I think, not, and I think that's why our show is an interesting take on like homosexuality, is because it allows us to really get to play with the image and redefine it in a unique way, which also though plays to a universal standard.
Mm-hmm. True.
And now I'm going to have Zoot Suit Riot in my head all day for the rest of the year.
That is, I really love that song. I sing that all the time when I think of urban legends.
So why don't you tell us why people should watch Pride?
Well, I mean, because I'm in it. No, really. I think that people should watch Pride because it's a story about love, friendships, family, and it's something that everyone can learn a little bit from. You know, I think a lot of people may see the name Pride and be like, oh, this is going to be this show about, you know, a bunch of gay kids and a gay story. And I think that once they watch it, they will see something that they will, in their life, go, oh, wait, that happened to me, or, hey, I can learn from that, or if I was in that character's shoes, I would do it completely different. And I think that we all can attest that when our characters did certain things within the show, I would come out of the scene and be like, Darrell would have never done that. Darrell would have handled that completely different. Darrell would have choked that person out and been done with it. But I think that it was a learning experience, and sometimes, you know, one moment I will say, actually, before I will say this, there's a scene that you're going to see in episode 3 where Kai is just depressed. And there's a lot of time Kai's in bed. I'm in bed a lot, just depressed. And so, oh no, this is all this one's doing. But also, it's this one's doing that we shot that all in one day. So all of my bed depressed scene was in one day. So the next day, I was still depressed. And I went to work, and I was just like, just sitting there. We're all black. I didn't eat, and that's a problem. So it was just sometimes Pride bled into our real and personal lives, I think. And I became my character. Like, there were some times I would say things like, wait, that's not what I would do. That's not what I would say. And yeah.
Adam, do you want to say anything?
Why you should watch Pride?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's new, it's interesting, it's fun, it's fabulous, and we're all in it. We're all great. It's just something that I feel like not a lot of people have seen, and yeah, and we all look pretty, so
we do look pretty. I agree with Adam. Not a lot of people have seen it, and even if you think that you've seen something similar to it, I promise you, giving Pride a chance, you will see that it's something completely different.
I mean, I think difference and unique are two words that really define what can be original, and I think within that, that's what we were able to give. There is nothing that has been created that reflects something that deals with young people, homosexuality, and at the same time, good versus evil.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in comic books, if you're interested in, you know, gay television, if you're interested in romance and things that are cool, then you're going to want to watch our show. Our show is cool, it's fun, it's unique, it's different, and it's only the beginning. And I know that. And I think that's what is the fun thing. I challenge the audience that watches this show to give in to the fact that they may be confused at times. Because that confusion will only unknot. And I've shown people, there have been times now when I've watched all 7 in a binge, which is 2.5 hours, and people that I've shown that to have all reflected and been like, wow, my brain was really hurting in the beginning, but by the end of the season, I felt like I still had no idea where we were going with it, but the knot unwound, and I'm like, it will only get better as we go along. And so that, you know, thematically, that's what gets to play. But at the same time, I think people should watch our show because they should get to see filmmakers that are actually taking risks and trying to create work. And I think that's something about our company, Three of a Kind Productions, and about our team, not just the actors, but about what we're doing. We're trying to actually make thought-provoking, new, original work. And I would really like people to, if they find our work, our other films interesting, I think this can be right up their alley, and they can get a chance to get to watch new artists really pave the way for hopefully what is becoming a new thing, which is the web series world.
Right on. Well, you know, as of today, the first 2 episodes, hold up my iPad there, I think, can you see
Yay!
Yeah, first 2 episodes available on our apps, on mobile, on Roku. I'm all, there we go. Try to get it above my head. There you go.
Look at Adam.
So available on JTS for subscribers, and episode 1, as of today, is available for everyone. So download our app if you don't have it, if you're you know, out there watching, and you can see a free preview episode of almost every series we have. The exception is the first week we launch a series, subscribers get to see that first episode for a week, and then when we launch episode 2, we make the first episode free, and anyone can watch. And but go, you know, watch it, and if you want to support Pride, also go to JTS.TV/Pride. If you're watching this because, you know, you're checking out Pride, then I think they should get credit for it, you know, and they'll know. They'll get a bonus if you subscribe to JTS.
That's so cool.
You guys like that?
That was awesome. We love
Great.
it.
Thank you.
Right on. Well, hey, I know, Darrell, you got to leave pretty soon, right?
Well, yeah, I actually cancel that and fix that around, so I'm okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got a few more minutes. You guys want to chat just a few more minutes longer?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, right on. Well, why don't you tell me what I like to do a lot is just say, you know, we've talked a lot about Pride. What are you guys working on now? What's in your future?
Oh my! I've been writing, doing. After we finished with Pride, you know, I took a break off, and I've been working with a new writing partner, a friend of mine named Kwame Berry. We've been working on a horror film because horror was my first love, which you will see some elements of that within Pride. I've been working on a new horror script, so hopefully this fall we'll be shooting that. I mean, things are going pretty well with that, and I think that's going to be really fun.
Fantastic.
Well, I've been a little bit of a busy bee. My short film writer's block, which just screened on JTS, will be, you know, moving around and obviously hitting some more festivals. It's been popping in and out at different places, so still kind of going around that. But I'm using that as a way to get my next big project, which is my feature film that is going to be shot in Texas. And within that is what I've been working on. This summer I've been doing a bunch of short films and music videos, so that'll be some short films, then music videos coming out in the fall that you guys will be watching. But the big thing is I have a play and I have a feature film, so working on getting those budgets and getting those things manifested. So yeah.
Awesome. Adam, what about you? What's going on?
What's going on with me? Honestly, I'm just trying to perfect this mug. You know, you see a lot of drag in this show, Avi, and you see a couple of things, you see all that, but I've just been, you know, trying to perfect things and getting better at that, trying to maybe progress into that. You never know. RuPaul's Drag Race Season 10, here I come. I don't know, it's just like a lot of different things. And
yeah, Adam's been doing a lot of makeup for a while, and he's also transitioned into doing a lot of marketing work for Three of a Kind and Pride. So he's falling into the marketing world. You know, I think when we graduated college, we all were theater nerds who wanted to do theater and stage because, you know, that's all we knew and that's what was offered to us. But I love being able to say I can produce now, and Brandon's directing and writing, and we're just doing different things, but it's all stemming from our original dream, the little kids who wanted to shine brighter than any star. It's all stemming from that, and we're still growing, and we're still changing, and we're still, you know, just because Brandon's directing, he'll still get behind that camera, and he'll still get on the other side of it. He'll act his ass off. You know, same thing with myself. You know, I can produce for my life, but I will get back in front of the camera, and Adam, he will put someone's makeup on their face and then go right in front of the camera. You know, we'll still stay true to what we originally wanted to do, I think.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, before we go, is there anything you guys would like to add about Pride or anything else? You know, we already did a push saying watch Pride, of course, on JTS.TV, exclusively on JTS.TV.
We're going to be looking into, I think we're going to be looking into festivals pretty soon for season 1 of Pride. I think everyone should watch. I think that it needs people watch. Just watch, and love it because the second season is only going to be bigger and better.
Yeah, I mean, I can only tell you the one thing that I love about Pride is just how weird of a show it is. I mean, it really, when we sat down and we talked about it, I always said it was, I think it's Weeds meets Lost meets a splash of Twin Peaks. And within that, I think those things truly resonate in our show. And it's all in there. And if you're just interested in watching some crazy kids get into some trouble and do some weird drugs and you know, maybe a couple people might get killed off. I don't know.
Brandon loves to give spoilers. Stop it. Brandon loves to give spoilers. Nobody's dying. Maybe.
I love it.
Here's the thing. I will tell you this. Like, Darrell is, when we created the show, Darrell is the sensitive motherly type who takes care and is always looking. He's like, let's be nice to our characters. I, on the other hand,
Brandon wants to put everybody on the chopping block. Everyone who dies in the show, any actor who's watching this, when you die, blame Brandon. I fought for it. I don't want anyone to die. Brandon wants people dead left and right. And that's okay sometimes.
Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you like to take a page from Game of Thrones. You just got to kill people off. So, you know.
So Game of Thrones. We are so Game of Thrones. We're the gays of Thrones. Gays of Thrones.
I was just thinking about Games of Thrones when you said characters dying. I saw this graphic today where a fan took and outlined everybody that had died and why they had to die. And, you know, I'm like, there's still some that I didn't want to die. But, you know, talk about spoilers. When I'll just say that little fucker, when he finally died, I was so happy.
Oh, Me too. And what a great death for him. Can I say this, though? And I guess since we've unleashed the spoilers, I won't try and say anything, but that fight scene in the season finale of this new season was one of the best fight scenes between the Hound and Brienne. Oh my god, so good.
I love it too. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. We definitely want to do this again. Maybe get more of the cast. You know, you don't have to be all in the same location. You can just webcam it up with Google Hangouts. So, you know, you get as many people as you want from the cast and crew, the team, anybody you want to bring in. You know, we're also going to try to, you know, get a hangout or two with a couple of Brandon's films, short films that he's done that are either on or coming to JTS. So that's exciting too. But everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you guys for.
I'll see you soon, Carter. I'll see you in 2 days.
Right on, absolutely. So very good. You guys have a great evening, and all you out there, I hope you have a great day, evening, whenever you're watching this.
Thank you.
Remember to subscribe and watch Pride exclusively on JTS.TV.